Hello, tech enthusiasts and curious minds. Today we're going to dive into the heart, or should I say the brain, of your computer. We're talking about the CPU, or the central processing unit. Stick around for the next few minutes and you'll understand what these tiny powerhouses actually do and how they work. The CPU, commonly referred to as the processor, acts as a control center for the machine in question, whether that's a computer, server, tablet, or a phone. The CPU performs arithmetic, logic, as well as controlling the input and output operations of the device. It is made up of a complex set of electronic circuitry that allows the machine's operating system and applications to run. This circuitry is constantly crunching numbers telling your machine what to do. So, how does a CPU actually work? At its core, a CPU operates on a very simple principle. It will fetch instructions, decode them, and then execute them. Fetch, the CPU will retrieve the instructions from memory. Decode, it will figure out what these instructions actually mean and what it needs to do. It will then execute these decoded instructions. Finally, if necessary, it will store the results back into memory to be used elsewhere. Let's have a look at a simple example of how the CPU would add two numbers. First up, the CPU would fetch the instructions from memory. Think of it like getting a recipe from a cookbook. These instructions tell the CPU it's time to add two numbers. Next, it will need to decode. The CPU reads the instructions to figure out what exactly it needs to do. In this case, it's preparing to add two numbers together. Simple, right? Now it's time to execute. The CPU adds the two numbers, let's say 2 plus 5. The result? 7. This happens in the CPU's arithmetic logic unit, also known as an ALU. Finally, we can store this. The CPU will take the result, 7, and save it to memory for the next task. So, what makes up a CPU? A CPU comprises of multiple microprocessors, which are chips designed to do a specific task really well. Think of a microprocessor as a specialized worker in a factory, each with their own unique skills. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Modern CPUs often have multiple cores. What's a core? Well, you can think of a core as a complete CPU in itself. So when we talk about a dual core or quad core processor, we're essentially talking about having two or more CPUs working together on a single chip. This is why your computer can run multiple programs at once without breaking a sweat. Each core can handle different tasks, making your device much more efficient. But how do these cores actually do their job? That's where the key components within the CPU come into play. Let's take a closer look at what's happening inside these tiny powerhouses. Every core in your CPU has several crucial parts working together. The arithmetic logic unit, known as the ALU. This is the math wizard of the CPU. It handles all the calculations and logical operations. When you're adding numbers in a spreadsheet or applying filters to a photo, the ALU is hard at work. The control unit. Think of this as the CPU's traffic police. It manages and coordinates all the activities inside of the CPU, making sure everything happens in the right order and at the right time. The registers. These are like the CPU's notepads. They're tiny, super fast memory locations where the CPU stores data it's currently working on. It's like keeping ingredients on the counter while you're cooking. Finally, the cache. This is the CPU's personal pantry. It stores frequently used data and instructions so the CPU can access them quickly. It's much faster than going all the way to the main memory of the system, known as the RAM. These components work together in each core, allowing modern multi-core CPUs to perform billions of operations per second. It's this incredible teamwork that makes your devices capable of running complex software, rendering high-quality graphics, and multitasking with ease. Now it's time to put your CPU to work. Fetch that like button and smash it, decode your thoughts and execute them in the comments below, and if you haven't already, output a subscription to this channel. Remember, just like a CPU, your support helps this channel process and execute more awesome content.